You've seen it everywhere. It's on every health blog, every influencer's feed, and you've probably heard it from your doctor. Start your meal with a salad to flatten your blood sugar spike. It's sold as the #1 trick. The golden rule, the simplest hack for anyone trying to manage their energy, their weight, and their metabolic health. But what if I told you that for a huge number of you watching, this advice is almost a waste of time? What if new research is showing a massive divide in how our bodies respond to this trick? A divide that means for a very large group of people. This veggie first hack does almost nothing to stop the glucose roller coaster they read trying so hard to get off of. This isn't about hating on vegetables or saying the advice is useless. This is about a crucial piece of the puzzle that gets left out of the conversation. It's about understanding that your biology isn't the same as the person next to you, and a hack that's a game changer for them might be a total dud for you. Today, I am going to show you the scientific reason why this popular advice might be an unhelpful lie for you. We'll get into the mechanics of your metabolism and uncover why a salad might not be the magic bullet you were promised. And more importantly, I'll show you what actually works. I'm going to give you a strategy that is far more powerful, more reliable, and designed for the very people who feel let down by the one-size-fits-all salad first rule. You've ever eaten your salad first only to feel that familiar energy crash an hour later? If you've ever been frustrated that the simple tricks just once seem to work for you, then you need to stick around. Because the truth isn't that you're doing it wrong. The truth is, you might have been given the wrong instructions for your specific body. And today, we're going to find the right ones. Section 1. The promise of salad first, acknowledging the common wisdom before we take apart this health mantra. Let's give credit where it's due. The salad first or veggie first rule isn't made up. For a certain type of metabolism, it's based on some very real science. When it works, it's a beautiful thing. The whole idea revolves around dietary fiber. Think of the fiber from spinach, broccoli, cucumbers, all those non-starchy veggies as a kind of metabolic bodyguard. When you eat them first, you're sending in an advanced team to prep your digestive system for the carbs that are coming later. First, there's the fiber shield. When you eat fiber-rich vegetables, the soluble fiber mixes with water in your stomach and forms a gel-like mesh. Think of it as a gooey net lining your gut. Now, when the carbs from your bread or pasta break down into glucose, they get tangled in this net. The mesh acts as a physical barrier, slowing down how fast that sugar can get into your bloodstream. It doesn't block the sugar, but it turns a potential fire hose of glucose into a gentle stream. The second mechanism is all about gastric emptying, a fancy term for how quickly your stomach passes food to your small intestine. High-fiber foods, along with protein and fats, tell your stomach to slow down. The carbs you eat after are held in the stomach longer, getting released bit by bit. This controlled release is a huge help in preventing a sudden blood sugar spike. Put those two together, the fiber shield and the delayed emptying, and you fundamentally change your body's glucose response. Instead of a sharp mountain peak on a graph, you get a gentle, rolling hill. Why does that matter? That huge spike is what causes problems. Your pancreas panics and pumps out a ton of insulin to handle the sugar flood. This insulin surge can then cause your blood sugar to crash a couple of hours later, leading to that classic 3 p.m. slump where you feel exhausted, irritable, and desperate for more sugar or caffeine. It's a vicious cycle. Over the long term, these constant spikes in high insulin levels contribute to inflammation, weight gain, and increased risk for chronic diseases. So, the promise of eating your salad first is that by blunting that spike, you flatten the curve. This means less insulin, no energy crash, and you feel fuller longer. In theory, it's a simple, powerful tool. For a metabolically healthy person, this is largely true. But this entire mechanism rests on one gigantic assumption that your body's hormonal systems are working perfectly. And that's where the story gets more complicated for millions of people. So, if the science is solid, why am I calling the salad first diet a lie? It's not a lie because it's fake. It's a lie because it's been presented as a universal truth. When its effectiveness really depends on one single factor: your level of insulin sensitivity. This is the great unspoken divide in so much health advice. To get this, we need to understand two key terms: insulin sensitivity and insulin resistance. Imagine your cells are like tiny houses that need glucose for fuel. Insulin, a hormone from your pancreas, is the key that unlocks the door to these houses, letting glucose in. Insulin sensitivity. If you're insulin sensitive, the process is smooth. You eat, blood sugar rises, your pancreas releases a normal amount of insulin. And that insulin key fits the lock perfectly. The door opens, glucose goes in, and your blood sugar gently comes back down. Your body is sensitive to insulin signal. Insulin resistance. Now imagine the locks on those cell doors are rusty and jammed from years of high-sugar diets, stress, or a sedentary lifestyle. When the insulin key arrives, it struggles to open the door. Your cell is resistant to the signal. So, what does your pancreas do? It panics and makes more keys. It pumps out to 5, even 10 times the normal amount of insulin to force those rusty doors open. For a while, this brute force method works, keeping your blood sugar in a decent range. But you're now living with chronically high levels of insulin, a condition called hyperinsulinemia, which is a major driver of belly fat, inflammation, and even more insulin resistance. Eventually, the pancreas gets exhausted, and that's the road to prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. A huge percentage of the population is living somewhere on this spectrum of insulin resistance, often without knowing it. They just think they're tired or getting older. They have afternoon energy slumps, stubborn belly fat, intense carb cravings, and brain fog. These are all signs your locks are getting rusty. Now, let's bring this back to the salad first hack. The whole strategy is about slowing down the entry of glucose. But what if the main problem isn't the speed of the glucose, but the fact that your cells are already deaf to insulin signal? What if the salad first trick is a strategy for people with brand new, perfectly oiled locks? What about the rest of us with the rusty ones? This is where the popular advice falls short, and a smarter strategy is needed. Section 3. The evidence when the hack is not enough. Let's be really clear here. I am not saying that eating vegetables first does nothing for someone with insulin resistance. The fiber is still good for you, and so are the vitamins. The issue is with the main advertised benefit, that it will dramatically flatten your glucose spike. For someone with significant insulin resistance, the effect can be much smaller. And it can be a distraction from things that truly move the needle. First, let's look at the full picture. There are studies, including ones on people with type 2 diabetes, showing that meal sequencing has real benefits. A Japanese study, for instance, found that patients eating vegetables before carbs had better long-term blood sugar control. Another pilot study noted the reductions in blood sugar and insulin were significant, even comparable to some medications. So, we know the principle works. But the question isn't, does it have an effect? But how big is the effect, and is it the most effective strategy you can use? This is where the story gets nuanced. While some research shows strong benefits, other reviews point out that the long-term effects on markers like A1C can be mixed, suggesting it might be a helpful tool, but not a cure-all. The scientific community agrees it's beneficial, but the debate is around how powerful it is compared to other strategies, especially in real-world settings where we don't always pause between courses. The most critical piece of the puzzle is why the effect is smaller in people with insulin resistance. The problem isn't just the speed of glucose absorption, it's the communication breakdown between insulin and the cells. Your pancreas is already on high alert, ready to overproduce insulin. Here's an analogy. Imagine your house is on fire. The salad first trick is like slightly turning down the flow of a garden hose. For a tiny campfire, a healthy person's glucose load, that might work. But if your house is engulfed in flames, the metabolic dysfunction of severe insulin resistance, tinkering with a garden hose is not the solution. You need the fire department. The real problem for an insulin-resistant person is the fire of cellular dysfunction. Slowing down glucose by a few minutes doesn't stop the pancreas from launching its overwhelming insulin attack. The root cause, the rusty locks, remains untouched. This brings us to a huge blind spot in the veggie first mantra. It often ignores the more powerful lever for blood sugar control, which is protein. Research consistently shows that consuming protein before or with carbs is incredibly effective at managing blood sugar. Protein slows down gastric emptying, just like fiber. But it has a secret weapon. It stimulates the release of a gut hormone called GLP-1. GLP-1 is a metabolic superstar. It tells your pancreas to release insulin in a more controlled way, slows your stomach down even more, and tells your brain you're full. This hormone is so powerful that many new blockbuster weight loss and diabetes drugs are synthetic versions of it. Studies have shown that a whey protein shake before a meal can dramatically reduce post-meal blood sugar spikes. So, the intense focus on salad first has created a blind spot. We've been telling people to focus on the garden hose of fiber, while mostly ignoring the fire extinguisher of protein. So, who might be in this group? You might be on the spectrum of insulin resistance if you experience persistent fat around your abdomen. Dramatic energy crashes an hour or two after a meal. Tense, uncontrollable cravings for sugar or carbs. Feeling like you need to snack all day to keep your energy up? Skin tags, particularly on your neck or under your arms. Blood work showing high triglycerides and low good HDL cholesterol. High blood pressure. If this sounds familiar, your body probably isn't getting the full benefit from the salad first trick. You read the person for whom this advice is an unhelpful distraction from strategies that will make a real difference. Call to action, and if this is making sense to you, if you're tired of one-size-fits-all advice, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. My mission here is to dig into the real, nuanced science of personalized health and give you tools that actually work for your biology. Section 4. The better solution, a smarter strategy for blood sugar, alright? So if the salad first rule is an incomplete story, what should we be doing instead? The new strategy isn't about a single trick. It's an approach built on principles that address the root cause, the insulin resistance itself. Principle 1. Lead with protein. This is the new golden rule. Before a meal, or as the first part of it, your priority should be protein. This flips the old advice on its head. Instead of just a low-calorie salad, think about having a handful of nuts, a few slices of chicken, some eggs, or even a protein shake 15 to 20 minutes before your main meal. Why protein is a powerhouse? It triggers that all-important GLP-1 hormone, orchestrating a smarter blood sugar response. It dramatically slows gastric emptying and makes you feel full, which helps with portion control. This single shift is often more impactful for an insulin-resistant person than eating a bowl of plain lettuce. Principle 2. Embrace combination, not just segregation. The salad first rule is about separating food. A more practical approach is focusing on combination. Never eat a carbohydrate naked. I repeat, never let a carb enter your body alone. Always make sure it's dressed with protein, fat, and fiber. What does that look like? Instead of plain pasta, have a smaller portion mixed with grilled chicken, protein, olive oil fat, and broccoli fiber. Instead of plain toast, have it with avocado fat and fiber and eggs protein. Instead of oatmeal with brown sugar, mix in protein powder and almond butter. When you eat carbs as part of a balanced meal, all the components work together to slow down digestion and blunt the glucose response. Principle 3. Movement is your best medicine. Here is a truth that is criminally underrated. A 10 to -20 minute walk after a meal can be one of the most effective tools for lowering your post-meal glucose spike. This is not an exaggeration. When you sit on the couch after eating, the glucose from your meal hangs around in your blood, demanding a large insulin response. But when you move, your muscles act like glucose sponges. They can pull glucose out of your bloodstream for energy without needing a lot of insulin. It's a biological cheat code. A simple, brisk walk around the block or doing some chores 20 to 30 minutes after you eat is the sweet spot. For anyone struggling with insulin resistance, a post-meal walk is a non-negotiable habit that can have a profound impact. Principle 4. Mind your carb quality and quantity. This seems obvious, but it gets lost in all the hacks. The order you eat your food matters, but what you're eating matters more. All the food sequencing in the world unsave you from a giant plate of refined pasta and a soda. First, focus on quality. Swap white bread, white rice, and sugary cereals for high fiber, complex carbs like beans, lentils, quinoa, and whole grains. Second, mind the quantity. A great visual is the plate method. Fill half your plate with non-starchy veggies, 1/4 with high-quality protein, and the final quarter with your high-fiber carb source. This ensures a balanced meal without any counting. Principle 5. Strive for consistency, not perfection. Finally, this isn't about being perfect. It's about building sustainable habits. If you can apply these principles to just 1 or 2 meals a day, you will see a huge difference. Start with what feels easiest maybe. It's just adding a post-dinner walk. Don't let the quest for perfection become the enemy of progress. The goal is a lifestyle that feels good and works for you long-term. Conclusion: so, is the salad first rule a lie? Not exactly, but it is a dangerously incomplete piece of advice. It's a tool that works best for those who often need it least, the metabolically healthy. For the growing number of people with some degree of insulin resistance, its effects are often diminished. And focusing on it alone is like trying to fix a car's broken engine by washing the windows. The science is becoming clearer, while meal sequencing is beneficial. Its role has been overstated compared to more foundational strategies. For those of us with rusty metabolic locks, our focus needs to shift. We need to shift from fiber first to protein priority, from food segregation to intelligent food combination. And we need to recognize that a 15-minute walk after a meal can do more to tame a glucose spike than a pound of lettuce before it. Stop chasing universal hacks and start listening to your own biology. Your body is giving you feedback all the time. Those energy crashes, those cravings, that stubborn weight, that's not a moral failing, it's data. It's your body telling you that the old rules aren't working for your system. The key to your health and energy isn't about one weird trick. It's about building a personalized strategy that respects your individual needs. It's about dressing your carbs, prioritizing your protein, moving your body, and choosing quality foods consistently. This is how you take back control. This is how you move beyond the myths and start building a foundation of health that is real, lasting, and true for you. Thank you for being here. If this resonated, please share it with someone who needs to hear this. And don't forget to subscribe for more health truths that go beyond the headlines.